I think that golf and basketball are a lot more similar than people actually think, and they help each other out. Golf's probably the toughest mental sport out there. If you think you're gonna hit a bad shot, you're probably gonna hit a bad shot. If you think you're gonna make a putt, you're probably gonna make that putt. And then translating that to basketball, if you don't think that you're gonna make a shot, you're probably not gonna make the shot. Becoming stronger mentally through golf, I think definitely prepared me to play at a higher level in basketball. I fell in love with golf at a young age. My dad loved golf, and I've always seen him as a role model, so I always wanted to do what he did. So then I kind of fell in love with the game. When I was born, my dad jokingly said that the only sport that he was going to force me to play was golf, because he loves golf, and he played a lot when he was in the NBA, still does.
He actually probably had a golf club in his hand before a basketball. And he would go out there, and he's a lefty on the golf course, and he'd just hit balls around the house, and he'd get out to the range anytime he could. And I think he was about 8 when he started beating me, and when I was a pretty decent player back in those days.
I just kept working my tail off at golf, and I just spend the whole day out on the golf course, and just kind of by the scores I was shooting and the way that I could hit the ball, I realized that this was something that I wanted to pursue.
Jack was a phenomenal golfer. So when we moved our family from Ames, Iowa, where I was coaching at Iowa State, to Chicago, where I got the opportunity to coach the Chicago Bulls, Jack moved at a very difficult time. He moved as a junior. So when he went into an established basketball program, he actually didn't start his junior year. But he had a great year in golf. And Hinsdale Central, where Jack went to high school, was coming off 6 consecutive state championships in golf, and Jack made the team and cracked the lineup, and that's what he did in the summers. He didn't play AAU basketball, he concentrated on golf.
I got down to being a scratch golfer actually by the end of my golfing career in high school. That was kind of the route that I wanted to take going into college, and I was able to receive a scholarship offer from the University of South Dakota, which I actually took. I was signed to play at South Dakota for golf.
Going into his senior year, where he'd already made his commitment, he had a great year in basketball. And when it was coming down to the time of registering for classes at South Dakota, he said, "Dad, I think I want to play basketball."
I realized it was my dream to play college basketball and someday play in the NCAA tournament, play in front of fans like that. And so it was more about a decision to go do something and chase my dream instead of going to play golf because I had a scholarship to do that. Choosing to walk on at Michigan State was something that I had been thinking about for months. I was kind of actually relying on my parents. I was like, just make the decision for me, like tell me what to do. And they wouldn't tell me anything. They made me make the decision on my own, which I was thankful for, but it was just such a hard decision for me to back away from something like that, an opportunity like that.
So first thing, we had him call his golf coach. He was fully supportive in Jack's direction, what he wanted to do. And over All-Star break that year, we took him to Michigan State. I'd known Coach Izzo over the years, getting to know him in the recruiting trail when I was at Iowa State. And he treated Jack like a 5-star recruit. It was a phenomenal visit. Jack fell in love with it. When we went up there and he said, "Dad, this is the place for me." We were fully supportive of it, and looking back on it, obviously it's one of the great decisions that he's made.
Focus and energy for 40 minutes. When I came here, I was thinking of what I wanted to do, and I'm going to start Jack because I think it's a memory-making moment. I'm about memory-making moments.
I'll be quite honest with you, I was kind of dreading the game going into it. I knew that Coach Izzo wanted to get me in at some point, but he said he was starting me about 30 minutes before the game. I didn't even get all that much of a heads up, but at first it was a lot of emotions, like, oh wow, like I'm gonna have to play against him. And when we play against him, it's gonna be my first time in my life rooting against my dad. But it also might be fun playing against him.
When I found out about Jack starting, so one of my assistant coaches always brings in the numbers of the starters. And he brought in, 5 Cassius, Aaron Henry and, Xavier Tillman. And then he said number 10. And I kind of looked at him. I said, who's 10? And I thought to myself, I said, that's Jack. I said, he's starting Jack. And then I had to go in there and give a little scouting report on Jack's game. Strong left-hand driver, step back, got a great step back.
It was something that was really cool. Looking up, seeing my family in the crowd because they can't make it to too many of my games, and then being able to go in at the end and make a couple shots. I'm really glad that I was able to do that.
It's probably a wonderful feeling, to I don't want to say go against your dad, but to be in the same type of arena, same environment, and be coaching and one's a player. That's probably a cool feeling to have. I'm excited for him and his dad to just be able to share that moment.
It was such a cool gesture by Coach Izzo to start him. We had a ton of family at that game. My parents came to that game. My in-laws were at that game. My brothers, all of his cousins. So I think we had about 30 people in the crowd to watch that. And it is something that we'll never forget as a family.
If I look back on it to signing day where I signed to play golf, and then I fast forwarded 5 years later and I was on scholarship playing basketball at Michigan State, I think that that's a pretty cool thing. And we were in practice one day in the summer, and Coach Izzo said, everyone get on the line, and he told me to come up and shoot free throws, which I had just gotten out of an arms lift, so I was like, uh-oh, this isn't good.
Coach Iz kind of gave it away. I don't think he's that good with surprises and whatnot, but I kind of realized something was, I don't want to say off, but something was going to happen. And I saw him kind of smirking and smiling a little bit.
At first we were kind of looking around like, are we really running? And then, we kind of slowly started putting things together. And when Jack missed the first free throw, that's when I kind of figured it out because Coach didn't make us run. But that was hilarious, especially because Jack never misses his free throws.
So I stepped up to the free throw line and made the second one. He said, your grand prize is a scholarship for this year. And so, that was something that was really cool to see because every walk-on dreams of the moment where they're going to get a scholarship. So, just a lot of emotions, a lot of joy.
It was a great moment for the team because we all knew that Jack, really deserved it. We all knew that Jack put in the work. We were the ones that really seen him working as hard as he did day in and day out. And for him to get a scholarship, it really didn't surprise us because we knew the work that he put in. We knew the mindset and the attitude that he approached the game with.
Being a senior this year, redshirt junior eligibility-wise, but it's my 4th year here. I've learned a lot from guys like Tum Tum and Cassius Winston. I've learned a lot about what it takes to be a point guard here at Michigan State. Coach Izzo always harps on leadership and running your team. So that starts with the point guard.
He always competes and he's always there for his teammates, and he'll tell you about yourself too if you're not doing the right things, and he's a guy that you have to respect because he'll hold you accountable. If he wants to go into coaching or if he wants to play professional somewhere or anything that he strives to do, man, I really believe in Jack because of his character, who he is as a person, how he carries himself, and that's a guy that I would want on my team any day of the week.
Qualities that Jack has as far as just being that hard worker that he is each and every day, I think that will carry directly over to coaching or whatever he chooses to do. And I think just having that quality of, fighting for a position each and every day, fighting to compete against the guy across from you, I think those qualities will leave Jack somewhere very successful in the future.
Especially if I do choose to go the coaching route after college. I think that playing for Coach Izzo is something that has helped me out tremendously to the point where I can't even explain, because growing up and seeing someone who's a little bit more calm and collected like my dad, and then also learning things from Coach Izzo's perspective, and if I do go the coaching route for my career, I can kind of pick and choose things that I like from both sides. And I know that there's a lot of days where coaching is not fun. I know that there's a lot of work that goes into it, but at the same time, I feel like with my knowledge of the game and my connections in the basketball world, it's something that I could be successful at.